All right. Countdown, baby. You about ready? You see it?
Yeah, I'm home. So I'm ready.
Apparently, Jacksonville's kicker kicked
70-yard
field goal, huh?
Yeah.
That's kind of nuts.
It would have been the record. That's crazy.
Yeah.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. You're on, Chris.
I'm good.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to B.W.O. I'm here with Chris Tucker.
What's up? What's up?
About to have a special guest on today. We're missing a couple brothers. We don't know what's up with them. But, Chris, you're going to get us started with your high energy this morning.
Yeah, my high energy.
I know you've worked 12-hour shifts the past week or so. But still,
Yeah, I'm exhausted, but I'm up. I'm ready to go. Start season 2 with the new James Wood head coach, Mr. Chris Higgs. And we've had him on as a guest in the past, but, he was at Daniel Morgan. So moving up, glad to see him being successful. And, the thing that he wants to do is coach. So going from middle school to high school as a head coach, that's a pretty big deal. So we're excited to have him on and hear how he's going to change James Wood's culture around over there.
Hey, Mr. Dixon did the same thing. He started at Daniel Morgan. A lot of people probably don't know. He started out as a football coach for a few years and then moved to basketball.
Yeah, I must have been a little kid when I don't even know when he coached over there. It had to be in the 80s, but yeah, he did.
Yeah. So let's not wait anymore. Chris is sitting here waiting. We'll let Chris join us this morning. Hey, Chris, you hear us? You there?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
I was about to say, I see him. What's up, Chris?
Myself too. What's up, guys? Good morning. Unfortunately, I have to look at Tony. So good to see you, Chris.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Been a while, but excited to hear how things are going, man. For you to be the new head coach at James Wood, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're very excited. James Wood basketball. We've got a lot of good kids, a lot of good opportunities over there. Just trying to really change and build on the culture that was started last year. Just keep growing and giving those kids opportunities to succeed on and off the court. So really excited to be there. A big opportunity, as you guys mentioned earlier, started at Daniel Morgan. So Tony and I coached together there for a couple of years. I transitioned, coached at Hanley for a year, and then was a James Wood JV coach last year.
Oh, so you were over there with my buddy Ben, and now you're taking over since he's gone and moved on to something else.
Yep, I was over there with Coach Bates, worked with him for a year, and then, he left for whatever reasons he left for, and then I took over, got the opportunity to take over this year. So really excited. Started earlier in the summer, actually probably towards the end of school, April and May, and then we went all summer together as a program, both JV and varsity. So gave the kids a lot of chances to play in some games, go to some camps. We were practicing 2 days a week at some points when we were allowed to. So certainly giving them as much chance to be in the gym to get better as players.
Well, it sounds like you're taking the bull by the horns, Chris.
It's the only way to do it.
Are you putting your foot down on these kids?
And we're putting our foot down. We've got some pillars and some different things that we sort of want to live by as we change the culture and grow the culture. So things like discipline, communication, effort, and the small things matter. Like one of the phrases I'll tell them, or I told them very early on in the summer is it's not how you do anything, it's how you do everything, right? And so, how you talk on defense, your body language when you miss a shot, those sort of things matter just as much as, boxing out and rebound, being able to score, whether it's, jumpers, layups, etc. But those kind of things matter. But again, it all starts with things like discipline and communication.
Right. So I guess that leads into my first question. So what's your coaching philosophy?
So
you probably pretty much.
Yeah, because it's evolved a little bit. In middle school, that philosophy was, just make kids love basketball, enjoy the game, learn how to compete, and build those fundamentals. So that way, when they get to high school, that they still want to put in the work and they still really understand what they're trying to do. And so here, it's really three things as far as our philosophy, which is be a great teammate. You want to be a good teammate on the court and off the court, and someone that your teammates want to hang out with and be friends. Those are the kind of people that you're going to play well with together. If you don't like someone, it's going to be really hard to, play as a cohesive unit.
Right.
And then strive for excellence. Put your signature in the work you do every day. So, when you come into gym and practice, or we have a shoot around, or just open the gym up and let guys come in and do anything they want to do, are you putting your stamp on that day? Are you working as hard as you can, even though you may not want to? There may be something going on outside of basketball. You got something going on at home. You are at work, or you just don't feel like working out. It's the middle of the summer. You want to be hanging out at the beach or with your friends. But when you're in the gym, making use of that time. And then the last one I think is really the most important is enjoy the journey and the people that you're with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you want to respect everyone that you're working with in every role, coaches, teachers, administrators. We have a lot of guests and alumni that we're going to bring in throughout the year to really talk about what James Wood culture and basketball was like in the late 90s and early 2000s. So having those guys come back in to reiterate that or build that up, but, really just enjoy that journey of all the people that you're with, because it's not about the goal. The goal for all high school programs is to win a state championship. You have to be realistic. How close are we to doing that? We're not as close as some other programs. And so for us, the goal is more about the relationships and the journey than it is getting to that state title or something like that.
Right. Good. So how do you balance discipline and accountability?
You mean on the court or off the court?
Yeah, on or off. Both.
I think you just you treat everyone the same, right? And so it's player one who might be your best player, your star player for certain things, all the way down to player 12 or even the manager. We've got a great manager in Sammy Myers. We just hung out with him at the beach a couple of days ago and had a lot of guys show up and just support him and hang out. But it's really just in how you treat everyone and making sure they're the same. There's no exception to the rule, because, player A might be your best offensive player, your best defensive player, and you need him. If he's not doing the work he needs to do either on the court or in the classroom, he's not as valuable to your team as someone else who is doing that work. And so, it's about just finding that good balance, holding everyone accountable and to the same standard. So what we say is culture is what you allow. And we don't really allow anyone to cut corners or, be the exception to the rule because they might have a different role or a different level of delivering to the team.
Gotcha. Chris, you got anything? I know you do.
Yeah, so if I'm correct, then the young man that I know that I think probably one of the best players in the area and district, he's still with you, right? Big Michael Bell?
Big Michael Bell is there. He's been working hard this summer, really trying to grow his game a little bit. He's actually going to Shepherd on the 13th, so a good opportunity there for him. Yeah, bringing Michael Bell back. We're bringing 4 seniors back that started last year. And
a lot of experience.
Looking for those guys to contribute and really elevate their game and then provide that leadership that you would look for in those players.
Yeah.
So you guys will be right there, hopefully competing with the likes of Hanley and anybody else that's pretty good right now. So
I would hope so. The guys come in and put in the work. Hopefully that ends up being our reward. But we're just going to go out and compete against the opponent we play every night, not worry about who they are or what their record is. As everyone's 0-0 on that night. Whatever happens. But bring back really what looks like 5 starters, 7 varsity guys who are returning, and then we'll bring some guys up for JV that have been in the program or that played in the system last year. And so should give us some good continuity and a lot of depth. And then very excited about our JV program with the amount of freshmen and sophomores we've had at workouts this summer. It's been 20 plus in the gym almost every night. Again, 2 nights a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. So as a 14 or a 15-year-old kid, there's probably a lot of other things I'd rather do than being in a hot, sweaty gym on a Monday or a Wednesday during my summertime. But having those kids there is just awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that shows the leadership that you have and that the belief they have in you and that they want to be better and they want to win. And that's what it takes,
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. And it says a lot to their work ethic and the way that their parents raised them. And then, having our middle school programs do, early morning workouts. Sorry, Tony, 5 days a week out here at some of our middle schools. They'll start the middle of October and go 6:15 to 7:30.
Yeah.
So you think, hey, remember when we were that young, the last thing we want to do, or any opportunity we could get to get in the gym, we would, but we never had those chances. So now getting these kids that opportunity, albeit early in the morning, is just a very good opportunity to help them grow their skill. And it's a lot of individual based work. They're working on micins and form shooting, working on different finishing moves. We're really trying to emphasize to our guys playing off 2 feet, playing to our strengths. And so having them have that opportunity to do that in the gym on their own, in addition to practicing and other things like that, is just great. It's really going to elevate the game of basketball, not just at James Wood, but hopefully in the area, because other schools do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And see, I think it's great that now finally it's trickled down to the middle school. All the middle schools.
Oh,
It
yeah.
don't matter, county, city, whatever. The kids are taking it. I get
Yeah.
like you say, you still want them to have fun, but because some kids in middle school are like, you do find out who's serious, who's not at the same time.
That's true.
7 a.m. workout, and who really wants to be somebody?
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, when you open the gym at 6:15 or 6:30, at Daniel Morgan, when we were there, I could think of just a handful of kids that would probably show up and come. And then, we had a team one year that was begging us to practice, like, Coach, we want to be in the gym every day.
right? Yeah.
Could have been there on Sundays. We could. And then when you look at the numbers of tryouts, even last year at James Wood for JV, we probably had 40 kids try out, 45 kids, which is a big number, especially at a school that's, not traditionally known as a basketball school. Right.
Right.
And then you look at, what we had at Daniel Morgan. I mean, we had 60 kids one time, and it was over Halloween, and we had kids in Halloween costumes. So a wide range of folks that are interested in playing basketball or learning about a team sport, which you don't want to turn that down or turn those kind of kids away.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, dedication and work ethic, man, that goes a long way, and it shows. But they need a good leader. They need somebody who's going to stick with them and, like you said, have realistic goals that, not everybody's going to make it to states or even win it, but you start with baby steps, and hopefully you guys be one of the best teams in the district, get to the districts and do well in that, get the regions, and then go from there. But
yeah,
I'm excited to see how you guys do, man. Hopefully I can get down there and watch a game or two, because I like to support Michael, and I definitely want to support you. So
yep, we'd love that. And all of our games, at least home games, are on Huddle Live, so they're streamed.
Now, sorry, Chris, has your schedule came out yet? Nobody's basketball schedule came out yet, right?
It hasn't been released to the public yet, but I do have it. So I do know our first game is, I'm looking at it now, it's December 1st. So
I was going to ask that next when the season starts. So nice.
Yeah. So tryouts for the area start November the 10th, right after, that last dead period and election day. So you get 3 days of tryouts, and then we have our first scrimmage. I'm looking at it now, the 17th. So we'll have, 2 or 3, really solid practices before that scrimmage,
right,
to implement some of the new offense and make some of the other changes that we're going to make. We've started doing it this summer, so we're a little bit ahead, but we'll finish putting in all that game plan, get our new JV coach integrated in plenty of time. So that
now, can you name your coaching staff?
I can name my coaching staff.
You want to give them a shout out?
Yeah. So Coach H, Paul Hojdovic is our varsity assistant coach. He's a marketing teacher at James Wood. He played baseball at Shepherd. He bounced around, did some things at Shepherd, did some things at Elon and some different sports. So really excited to have him on board. He was on Coach Bates' staff last year, so a huge asset for us. And then Quentin Jones, who played at Millbrook, played at Shenandoah, and
nice.
Will be our JV coach. And so my goal when I was looking for a JV coach was, can I get someone who can elevate our players' skills and knowledge, and then be someone who can not only relate to them, because, Quentin played at Millbrook, he had a successful career. It could have been more successful in high school. He had a successful career in college. And I say it could have been more successful in high school because I believe, if I remember correctly, his senior year or his junior year,
COVID
year. So his,
That messed a lot of kids up.
he was
Yeah.
cut short. He still got an opportunity to go play at Shenandoah and further his basketball career. But I really wanted someone else who had positive energy and positive experiences. And Quentin is a great personality that'll be able to connect and relate to our kids in our program. And he's
That's
also
awesome,
looking at
man.
basketball.
I didn't know Quentin was over there with you.
Hey, Chris, look, I didn't even spill the beans, Chris. Look.
Surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, because he just graduated from Dean College up in Massachusetts, so Dean
He
University.
did, yep.
So
And he's working at fast basketball, with James Frisbee and Coach Blue from Shenandoah and those guys. So he'll have a good opportunity to, grow his teaching skill at the same time he's at fast, same time he's over with us at James Wood. So really excited to bring him on board. And then he was a 1-year Rising Stars player. He played for Wink City and some other AAU programs here in the area. So he'll bring a lot of good experience on and off the court that I'm excited about.
Yeah, nice. That's like me. Go out and get that young blood. That's good stuff.
Yeah, because you've got BJ working for you. Him and BJ both played 1 year for Stars for me. So, again, great kids who really love the game and they want to get back and, help younger kids in the area get those opportunities and get better. Because those guys both played in college, right? BJ played football in college, Quentin played basketball. It gives them an opportunity to say, hey, this is what worked for me, or this is what I was taught when I got to college that'll make you more successful.
Yeah, it's just their experiences go a long way with these. And plus, they're young and they can relate to these kids, unlike us getting old.
Exactly. I'm old as dirt. They want to look up my stats or pictures. They're going to be in black and white. They're not going to believe it because I can't do it in gym. But Quentin can dunk and outshoot most of those guys in the gym all day long. So have that.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Got even better after he left Shenandoah. So he's worked on his game.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you follow him on social media, he puts out a lot of good videos and a lot of good messages about the kind of work that you really have to do. And then again, plug in fast basketball a little bit. Those guys are great working with kids and really further their game when it gives them an opportunity to work on things just outside of practice. Tony, as you know, if you have kids who just show up for just practice, they're not getting as good as they could or can. You've got kids in the gym 5 days a week at a number of different places, whether it's fast or other trainers in the area. There's a lot of choices, a lot of good choices. So having that opportunity for kids to go there is just phenomenal. Yeah.
And adding on that, it's what you do outside of practice on your own. And
That's
it's not hard it's not hard to tell, even if you can be the most talented athlete in the world or but a kid who outworks you in the gym 3, 4, 5 times a day, they're going to surpass it. And you see it, especially once we get to the high school level, being at the middle, and then who keeps putting in the work, and they'll surpass people. But they weren't the most talented, but it's all about putting that work in.
That hard work and that effort, having discipline to do that every day or on your own, it's just going to make you a much better player and a much better person than someone who just tries to do it, the once or twice a week that you're practicing during the season.
Yep. Totally agree.
James Wood?
Sorry?
Did you ever go to James Wood as a high school student?
No, I am a Hanley graduate. So I graduated in 97. And I saw Coach Dixon at Family Day last weekend. He gave me a hard time because I was carrying a James Wood basketball bat. But he did wish me luck and congratulate me, gave me some advice. So always respect him or respect either my former coaches or colleagues that I've worked with, over the past 15, 20 years. And taking something from them that I've learned along the way is just a huge value add.
Now see, Chris, putting on James Wood stuff would be like me putting on Washington Commanders stuff, being a Cowboy fan. Like that would be hard. But
it's not as hard as what you think. We've got great kids. We've got a great administration, great facility over there. And so, the kids really make it. What's the value?
That's right. You all built, I don't think a lot of people know y'all built a new gym just last year, right?
Well, we don't have a new gym. The school went over a full remodel. So the gym got a makeover, but it's not a brand new gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a new, it looks very similar to Frederick County. There's a window wall on the backside, which you can see into the school and see the cafeteria and some different things. The secondary gym has been upgraded a little bit. The bleachers, we just refinished the floor again. So there's a lot of upgrades around the building to really make it a much better experience.
Yeah.
The new gym would be great though, but
Right.
not right now. So
Yeah. Well,
Who's the gym named
Get
after?
some wins.
it's named after Don Shirley. So
Okay.
Do you know
well,
who that is?
sorry, I'll take that back. Wendell Dick. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Wendell
and no,
Yeah, I was
I
like, that,
brought him up before because he passed
I had to
away
correct
sadly
myself
a few
there.
years ago. Mr. Dick passed away a few years ago, but when I was little, he was always over there. He was a great man, and he really cared about people. So
Absolutely. Yep. And we have that.
it was sad he passed away. Definitely, when I was told about it, I was like, oh man, I remember.
Yeah, it's a big loss.
Every single day, just such a culture builder over there, and really, he loved the community.
Yeah, he gave back a lot. And we have the Wendell Dick Hall of Fame there. So when you guys do come to a game and come in the entrance there on the right-hand side, we've got the Hall of Fame, which mentions all the folks that have been inducted and when. And it just looks really good when you come in there.
Gotcha. Okay, Chris, a couple more questions or a few more.
Fire away. This is good stuff.
So how do you stay updated on coaching techniques and the latest trends in basketball?
That's a tough one because there's a bunch of different
ways.
But
you are, hey, I always tell people you're a basketball mind, though. I can say that.
There's a bunch of different ways to do it. I work from home. I'm in IT. I watch a lot of obscure basketball and film. So I watch a lot of D2 and D3 and NAIA games, whether it's this year or last year. I watch a lot of European basketball, some WNBA. Because those kind of plays and sets and the things that they're doing really relate to the kind of kids that we've got at James Wood from an athletic standpoint. If you try to watch what they're doing in the NBA, it's a lot more complex. And two, you're looking at guys that are, 6'3" to 6'8" in athleticism that we just don't have. And so trying to get us to emulate what they're doing, it's just not going to work out. But I watch a lot of obscure basketball. I follow a lot of coaches on social media. And then, there's a coaching association here in Virginia that has now really done a lot over the last 12 months or so to get information out to us. And so they're having an in-person session in September in Charlottesville. And so that'll be a good experience to go to and see what those guys are talking about and deliver some good messages to us. So it's a lot of obscure basketball, a lot of trainers, and a lot of social media. The good thing is about coaching in basketball is, you can steal it from someone else because it's probably been done already before. If you're inventing it the first time, then maybe it's not the most successful thing.
Right. Yeah, I always say, Chris, as a coach, you got to be a student as well of the game. And a lot of coaches have probably they think they know it all, but it's like you always got to be willing to learn and adapt to the times.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yep. You got to look at it with an open mind and say, okay, if it's working for those guys and it's successful there, then maybe we should try it here and see how it is. I know last year in some of our workouts with Coach Bates, we were trying some different things defensively, the way we move our hands and how we pivot and stuff like that. And, we tried it a couple of practices and didn't work out the way we wanted to. So then we switched back and did something else. So it's always good to go in there and experiment some, see how it adapts to the kids and the personnel you got. And then if it works, great. If it doesn't work, you really haven't lost anything because you're, like you said, going into it with an open mind and trying something different.
Yep. So how would you, because I know you're a big film guy, you just tapped on it. How do you assess opposing teams?
So spend a lot of time watching film, but I also like to go watch in person. And so the one thing that you can watch for on film, and I was talking about this with Coach Green from Millbrook the other day when he and I were talking, is, you can watch and understand their plays and calls on film, but all that's going to change when you play each other. You may run the same set, you're going to call it something different. Or you may not run the same sets at all. I know last year when we played Millbrook, the first time they ran one set of plays, the second time they ran something totally different that they hadn't run before in a game. So it was kind of a unique experience. That's good coaching. You should expect that. So, but the thing I like about in-person scouting is that you can really see how big a kid is, how athletic a kid is on film. It's hard to really see that. So you can see the quickness and the size and, their depth perception and a whole bunch of different things by just watching in person. Like, for example, watching Christian in person is way different than watching on film.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't allow anyone to speed him up or slow him down. He plays at his pace, and then his athleticism, the way that it stands out in person, is a little bit different in film because a lot of the teams that they play are physically about the same size. So I really love the in-person scouting, though. It helped us a lot last year.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And you can sense body language, bad habits, what they do right, wrong.
That's right. See how they react to different things that the crowd is doing, all that stuff, how their teammates react to them when they do something good or bad. So you can really pick up on all those like little cues that if the game is on the line or you need a shot here or you're getting ready to drop a, after timeout play, and you're like, all right, I want to go with this kid because in this situation, these things always happen.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Well, you guys have a lot of things in common with Hanley then, as far as like returning so many seniors now. Well, upcoming seniors and a lot of people that's been together for, since they were in little league or middle school.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, there should be a lot of good competition. And when you think about all your rivalries, Millbrook, Sharando, Hanley, like you mentioned, when you play those teams night in and night out, you're going to get their best effort, regardless of what, your regular season record is going into that. Again, every night we look at it, we're 0-0 and the opponent is 0-0. But when you have a senior laden team like Hanley does, Millbrook is returning a lot of experience. Sharando's got some experience, and then us. All those local games are going to become very, very good. And then when you look at outside the region, how some teams are rebuilding, some teams have gotten some transfers in, and it's going to be a very good, region.
Is Garland Williams still at Sharando?
Garland is still there. Yep, ran into this summer.
He's been coaching there since we were little.
I know. Yeah,
Right.
Coached against me in high school. Yep, absolutely. Remember Garland? He's still there. Coach Simons is still there. So again, they've got a very experienced staff that's been together for a while. The systems they run, there's a lot of continuity there. So again, it's a good sort of, I guess I'll say difference. Whereas we're a fresh or a newer coaching staff, even though, like Tony said, I'm getting old. They've got an experienced coaching staff. So all these rivalry games will be very good.
Yeah,
and you mentioned earlier about like the late 90s, early 2000s and trying to bring people in and reiterate like how they did things and approached the game and built their culture. So you're talking about like probably the best big three I remember seeing and playing when we grew up, which was Chris Boone, John Tigney, and Mike Crawford.
Absolutely. So, yep, we're going to have two of those guys come to the gym, talk to the guys about, I'll call it old school James Wood culture and what sort of being a colonel means to them. And then when you bring in, can bring in a guy like Brad Parks, and some different guys in the 2010 to 2020 where record wise may not have been as successful as it was in the early 2000s, late 90s, like you said, but still being able to have those guys talk about what it means to be a colonel to them, to these guys, so that when we put our jersey on every night, that there's a little more sense of pride and ownership with it.
Yeah, Brad was player of the year too.
He was, yep. He was a 4-year varsity guy. Mike was a 4-year varsity guy. I believe Boone was.
Is Brad the all-time leading scorer?
I think so. He's real close. He's, almost 2,000 points. So I'll have to look. That's one of the things that we don't have in the gym. I'd like to get put up. Hanley's got one. Millbrook's got one. Is who are 1,000-point plus scorers?
Oh, they don't even have that up in the gym.
We don't have that up. We have a lot of state banners up there. So if the sports programs want a state title,
they have the Nesserot brothers. They have Ben and John Kane. Like they have a lot of legends that came from James Wood.
We've got a long list of great players that have come through there. That my goal is to get something like that put up in the gym. Whether it's just guys that are in the Hall of Fame that played basketball, guys and gals, or if it's 1,000-point scorers plus, get those names put up there so people can recognize them. We do have a lot of great sports programs who have won some titles. Volleyball, is going for a 4-peat this year. They've won the last 3.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah. So when you come in there, you see those banners. Will we hang a basketball one there? Knock on wood. One day that's the goal, right? It doesn't have to be this year. It could be 20 years from now. But that's every program's goal going into it. But just being able to recognize some of that talent that we've had the past 20 or 30 years and have them come in and, again, remind our guys, this is what James Wood should be about. And then when you guys come into the gym, being able to recognize those names and say, okay, like you said, Joe and Larry Kane played here. A lot of people might not remember that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But John
So
Kane was the first and only 3-time player of the year.
Yeah.
He won 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And until Zach Diggs came along,
I was buried to say, I was like, hold
there
on,
was
Zach.
nobody else that ever did it. So all the greats we've had from all like Hanley, Millbrook, Sharando, Clark County, nobody did it until Zach Diggs came along. But Ben Kane did it in the early 80s and dominated over at James Wood. And then Larry Kane might be one of the greatest ever, but he played in the 70s. So obviously I never got to see him play, but everybody knows all about him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, Chris, bring back that rivalry, that James Wood Haley rivalry when we was in school.
I remember that rivalry. I don't know.
Oh my God. Like
It wasn't a rivalry. Chris and Mike Crawford crushed him.
Well,
when they came to play, I was excited to watch them.
I remember the game. They were good. It was an exciting time to see. Like the gyms was just packed back then. Even at James when them games came around.
The atmosphere and the culture.
Yeah, the atmosphere was
And that's what we want to get back to. We want to pack the stands over there, have a great student section, and put a good on court, product or experience for the fans that do, come to see us. That's what we want to do. And whether it's win or lose, we want to be in every game. We'll know what our game plan is and what our strategy is and what we want to hold teams to, because we want to be a defensive first team. What we want to hold teams to give us the best opportunity to win.
Right.
And that's what we want.
So Chris, a couple more questions. So you pretty much answered most of them, but so what is your short-term goal and long-term goal for your program?
That's a good one. So short-term goal is just getting the culture moving in the right direction. Again, focus on discipline, communication, effort. We want to have a team GPA between 3.2 and 3.5. So not only are they athletes, they're student athletes, as you guys know, first being in high school. So we want them all to get their GPA where it needs to be. We want 100% graduation rate. Geez, can't talk right now. And so that's
it's early.
Short-term and a long-term goal. A couple other long-term goals would be, last year we hosted our first, playoff game. I'd love to host another regional playoff game. We'd love to win a regional playoff game, both short-term and long-term. And we'd love to long-term qualify for the state tournament. So both having, off the court goals and on the court goals. And then every workout, we want 20 or 30 plus kids in the gym. We've got plenty of opportunity for them to get better. The times are out there. We publish all of our times about 2 to 3 weeks in advance from a practice schedule. And so we want all those kids in the gym to give them that opportunity.
Nice. So can you touch on any games on the schedule that I think?
Yeah, I mean, it's not public, but I can certainly talk about some. Will you want to circle the James Wood Hanley date, Tony?
Oh, I'm not. Hey, I didn't say it. I didn't say it
either. I mean,
like some people might be curious. What's kind of the big games you see?
Because you did. Coach Zach at Hanley might want to punch me in the face, but you didn't listen. I'm like, man, you should send Christian over there to help Chris. And Zach's probably like, man, he'd better not come to Winchester.
Yeah, all we're worried about over there at James Wood is kids who live in our school district. So it's one thing I've told some other parents, you always get those chirps over rumors about transferring or moving here, moving there. Look, all I care about.
Do I know?
Yeah.
Rumors. And that's 99% of what it is.
A lot of it's envy, and a lot of it is people are bored and need something to talk about. But like I say, I'm only worried about kids that live in our school district that are enrolled in our school. So they show up to our gym. I make sure they're enrolled. I make sure they got a physical from the last 14 months, and so that they're able to practice or participate in workouts. So
that leads to a great question, Chris. So how do you handle criticism?
I mean, I think I'll steal a line from Nick Saban, one of my favorite coaches, regardless of sport all time. If you want to make everyone happy, go sell ice cream. So there's always going to be criticism. There's always going to be, people are going to think, hey, we could do it better. We could do this. I'll tell you, I've been coaching for a long time. A lot of it's been volunteer hours. It's never about the money. It's always about the kids. And so there's plenty of opportunity for those folks who, want to offer their opinion or provide some expertise. We could always use help coaching, always, whether it's on any level, whether it's Parks and Rec, whether it's AAU, whether it's at middle school or the high school level, in any sport, we can always use more help coaching. We can always use extra referees. So come on out. But yeah, criticism is going to happen. It's the nature of the game. You've just got to have thick skin and move on. And
right.
You know your kids better than anyone else, and you know what you stand for and what you're working on in practice. And if you fall short, obviously it starts at the top of coaching. I'll always be responsible for that, but there's blame to go up and down the program. But again, it's going to start with me. So
yeah. Well, good. Take accountability, Chris.
That's right. You got to.
Unlike you did with me at Daniel Morgan.
Oh, we took accountability. We had some good years. We had some good years. Come up short in the championship game on the road, but then we pulled it out the next year. So I would say all of our big games are rivalry games. When you play Millbrook at Millbrook, and then they come to you, or Sharando or Hanley, and then vice versa. Like those are going to be the biggest crowds, the most intense crowds, and really just an intense game. Like we play Sharando in early December, and that is going to be a packed house.
Yeah, of course.
It's a good game.
The local school, yeah.
And I would say, another game is we've got Central on our schedule.
Okay. They're pretty good. They're up and coming.
They are. Yep.
They got some talent.
They do.
Derek McKee's and all of them.
Yeah, they've got a lot of good kids, great coaching staff down there, and Coach Whittle.
Yeah.
We played them in the summer. It's very good. They're a very good team, but they're a team that'll contend on their level for hopefully for a state title. From talking to their coach, in class 2.
Are they? Yeah, they're 2A.
Yeah, they're
right?
class 2.
Yeah.
So class 2 is undergoing some changes, obviously, with Ty White leaving John Marshall and going to Petersburg. And so it gives really Central, who is a well-coached, well-played team. They run their system well, and they can execute. It's going to give them a good opportunity to, step up and play.
Yeah, but didn't they get knocked out by John Marshall?
They did, yeah. That's sort of like fortunate or unfortunate part. Yeah, some of our brackets, right?
They
would have beat anybody in the state if they were 6A. So
what's your thoughts on that, Chris? All this, like your John Marshalls, which is probably going to be Petersburg now because we know they could. But what's your thoughts on this, like teams like that are just loaded? Because what's unfair is, I get it, because in Richmond and Henrico County, a kid can go to select basically what school they want to get, but in the rest of the state,
choice and some different things down there.
But here we can't do that. So
no, and at the end of the day, it's all about just coaching and providing for the kids that are in your school district that go to your school. And so, as a coach, you want to make those guys better, and that's where it really starts in elementary and middle schools. Get those guys to love basketball, love putting in the work, or love another sport, but still participating and putting in that work. And then, progressing as you get older. Sure, not everyone is going to be, 6'5" to 6'10", which I think I looked at, John Marshall's roster last year, and they had 7 or 8 guys of that size.
You
can't compete with that as a public.
Well, that's my point. Like, does DHSL need to change something, to keep it like?
I mean, they're trying to limit the transfer rule now.
Yeah, that's what I said, the transfer and all that.
Yeah, some stuff like that. But I think, if you could just level the playing field for the whole state. So either the whole state has school choice in every county or each county doesn't. I know it's a very hard decision to do, and you're jumping through a lot of political red tape because then it starts at the state level, then it goes down to the local and the school district level. But at the end of the day, those guys are playing within the rules, and that's great that's what works for their county. And our county has these rules, and this is what works for up here, and then we're getting a 4th high school in 2029. So the county will go from 3 high schools to 4. And how will that affect things? And will there be any redistricting or anything like that they've started to talk about a little bit? So, a lot of that plays into it. But again, like most coaches or, what all coaches should be, just worry about the kids that are in your school district that are enrolled in your school, and then we're all good.
Yeah, that's all you can worry about right now.
That can be exciting to have a new high school, but if you guys can remember when we were little, like elementary, just starting middle school, it was only James Wood, which is right there where the middle school is now. And now there's Sharando and Millbrook. And like you said, there's another school coming. So it can take a while because if they take away from y'all schools, then it will water down some of what you guys have. And that makes it rough.
Yeah. And then you got to look at, okay, do you stay in class 4? Do you drop down student wise to go to class 3? You know, maybe, you know, a school like Millbrook or Sharando then becomes class 3 and other schools stay class 4. So a lot of different things go into play. Like, for example, Luray, which you guys know those guys pretty well. You know, they're coaches from Clark County. And so they moved down to class 1 this year from class 2. But that
Matt
doesn't.
Huff's still over there?
Yep, Huffy's still there, doing a great job. Played them also this summer. They've got a great senior, Matt Owens, a player to watch out for.
Oh, he's a beast.
Yep, and he's grown. He's a lot taller than Stevie. But you look on the class 1 level, you know, so they're going to move down there. But that doesn't change their rivalry with schools like Page or even, you know, Central. So, you know, those guys will still play each other, still have that great rivalry, but they're just on a different level from the state side now.
And you going from Daniel Morgan Middle School a few years ago, but you were there for a while, and now to James Wood, you're about to coach against some of the kids you coached at middle school.
That's right. Yeah,
so that should be exciting.
I did that last year. Yeah, that's exciting. And those guys are seniors, and so I'm really excited not only for the opportunity to coach against them, but then to watch them play, whether it be in person or on film. And, you know, even though they're former players and I'm not in that program anymore, still wish those guys nothing but the best of luck and succeed, you know, and seeing some of those guys going to look at colleges or what they're doing on the AAU or the travel circuit. It's just exciting, not only for them as people and players, but for the area, just to bring some of that attention back that, you know, we have a lot of great players here in the area. And it's really starting to be highlighted. But that, again, it's a great job of the kids, their parents, the coaching staffs at other schools. And, you know, I was lucky to be a part of that.
Yeah, you've been a part of, like, you know, those guys and building them up like Tony is at Daniel Morgan. It starts there.
That's right.
For you guys to be a part of that development before they even get to high school, and now that you're at the high school level, though, that's definitely exciting. And you should be proud of yourself, man, because you guys do a lot with the kids. And you know,
yeah,
everybody cares,
but you don't get enough credit as a middle school coach. But like you said, that's where it starts, developing them from there, getting them ready to take off in high school and hit the ground running. You know, if you have a great program,
just teaching them good habits and really making sure they love the game, right? Because the game is not all about the trophy or the accolades or the wins and the losses of the game. The love is all the work that you put into it, grinding in practice. You know, going against your teammates, competing for playing time and spots, and just enjoying that journey. And that's what we really want to teach in middle school is, okay, how can you enjoy that, or what will make you enjoy this? So when you get to high school and it becomes way more competitive and the coaching is a lot more direct or harder, how they're going to be able to respond to that, being able to prepare them for that. It's just great.
Yeah. I can't agree more.
Coach Mankins, is he still at Millbrook?
No, Coach Mankins retired, so he's no longer at Millbrook. He was the DSA or the athletic director over there. He's no longer in that role, but he's still involved with Millbrook.
Okay.
He was a coach of Boone and Tigney and all of them when we were in school, but then he went to Millbrook, and I think he led them to the state championship, right?
He did. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. When Eric was a junior, before he transferred out his senior year, but he led them to a state title. They had a lot of good players on that team, not just Eric. So I don't want to talk just about.
They had the Clayton brothers.
Yep, Jordan Sugars.
And they had Jordan Sugars, and he went to play college ball. So they had a squad over there actually.
Yep. Yeah. Andrew Oates, who's on the Millbrook coaching staff now, was also on that team.
Right.
You know, so a lot of good players coming back to coach here in the area.
Well, all the Haley stuff that they've done, not to be funny, Tony, because Christian's there, I wish them the best. And, like, I would love for our high school to finally win a championship, but we never have. Millbrook came and did it, like, real quick. So, hopefully, Chris, you can get there, too, because nobody else in our area has won a state championship in basketball. Not for the local boys.
No, Hanley was very, very close. They had a great playoff game I was at last year to watch. A great atmosphere there. And they, just came up short. But obviously we wish all of our local high schools the best once you get to to the state tournament. But when we play each other, it's 0-0. We're just hoping we're going to compete and be the better team that night.
Right. So, Chris, could you highlight, I guess, any upcoming stars on James Wood?
Yeah, so I'll talk about a couple of our seniors. So,
yeah,
Chris already alluded to Mike Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mike has a lot of length. He's 6'5". He's really athletic. His game has grown a lot. I believe, going back and look, he was on JV as both a freshman and a sophomore, and so last year was a first-year varsity player and started all year. Then we've got Brody Serball, who was all district, all region, honorable mention player. He's going to give you everything every night in and night out defensively, and his offensive game has really grown. Really excited to watch him. He's one of those guys who's just going to leave it all on the line every night for his team. And then we've got Ashby Copenhagen, also as an all-district, type of player. Last year as a first-year player at James Wood. Offensively, brings a lot to the table. Defensively, as you know, Tony, from coaching him in middle school, he's going to give you a lot of effort, but it's still about growing part of the game. Then we've got Ronnie Barrett. Ronnie is a junior. He's a unique post type of player who sees the court very well. And so we're hoping that, Ronnie continues to grow his game, because this will actually be his third year on varsity, because he was on varsity as a freshman.
Right.
As a sophomore. He started on JV his freshman year, and they moved him up after 5 or 6 games. And so, those guys are sort of the core of what we've got, but we're returning 7 total players. Another player I'm excited about, Ethan Tran. So Ethan, again, was a James Wood middle player, a JV player his sophomore year, varsity player last year. He spends a lot of time in the gym, whether it be with fast basketball or with some of the former Shenandoah players, really trying to grow his individual game. And he's one of the more athletic or explosive kids that we've got.
Nice.
Did you guys see the news? Speaking of Shenandoah, and that's a great thing, I think, to tell people, people don't even think about going to Shenandoah from the area, it seems, except for Quentin. But most people are like, oh, I don't want to go to Shenandoah, and it's local. But they have a kid that's transferred to JMU to play basketball.
Transferring to JMU.
Yeah. Christian just told me that. Yeah. And I said, see, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
That's right.
There's plenty of examples of that.
That's a great story, yeah. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's like what these kids got to understand, and Chris knows this too, Mr. Higgs. It's like, man, the transfer portal and kids coming out of high school, you're at the low end of the totem pole now.
Absolutely.
Like the average age of a player college was what, 23, 24 now?
Yep. 23, 24. You've got there's a lot of kids who, or a lot of coaches, I should say, who, they're getting a new job. It's their first year, second year, they're on the line. And so it's a lot easier for them to win and grow their program with instant results if you go to the transfer portal and get a player who's already been through that college experience, who really understands what it's like to live on your own or be away from home and have to be responsible for things, versus, an 18 or 17 or an 18-year-old high school student who's really going through it for the first time. But they're trying to change those rules, going to JUCO now and some different things like that. Or like you said, like Shenandoah and some other Division II or Division III schools that players should not overlook, as an opportunity to get a free education for a sport. Obviously Division III doesn't give you athletic scholarships, but if you can qualify academically, you can get, plenty of money to pay for your education there. Use sports as that vehicle to get that education. Not everybody, or a very small percentage of players will either go play overseas, will play semi-pro, play in the NBA, right? And so how can I use this sport that I'm playing and grown in to get that free education, or get part of my education for free, so I'm set up for success after college?
Exactly. Yep. Use that athleticism, everybody. Go get an education.
That's right. None of us had any athleticism here on this call. So
no, we just had grit and fight. That was it. That's about it. But athleticism, we got the short end of the stick.
That's right.
But yeah, Chris, anything in closing you'd like to say This is great having you on. Always
No, I
fun.
appreciate the opportunity to come on here. I've been very low key as far as social media or different things like that. I'm not a big social media guy anyway, or talking to the paper. Those things, I just if they reach out to me, I'm happy to do it. I'm glad to be on here for you guys kicking off season 2. Looking forward to you guys talking about the Hanley football team championship state title.
Oh yeah, our big episode.
So, I know that one
episode.
Yep. But very excited again to be able to come on here and not just talk about me, but James Wood basketball and how how valuable and good of an opportunity it is for our kids. And really hope the community comes out and catches a game, because it'll be a very good experience.
One of our guests that was an all-state player and Hall of Famer from that team. His kid is at James Wood. So Jason LaRue.
Andrew. Yeah, Jason LaRue is there. Heston.
Yeah,
yep.
so people pick on him
Two
like,
of them are there.
He's
There's
like my
two
kid.
there.
Chris, there's 2 there. Andrew
LaRue and Partlow. So
Partlow goes to James Wood also?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I told you that. Yeah, Chris, I told you that.
We have 2 from there, and Andrew was
now what's up with that? You got all the Hanley alumni over at James Wood. Now what's that?
I guess property values in the county are a little bit better than the city. I don't know. So, but yeah, Andrew was in the program last year. Heston was a kid. We sort of talked about, hey, you want to play basketball? Remember, Tony played at Daniel Morgan for a year.
But he's a heck of a football player, though.
He is a great. He's a great football player,
He
and he's great,
like his dad.
And he's a great thrower on the track team. So
we don't
need basketball to get in the way of those 2 sports. So he's got some time to, train and decompress for both. So
gotcha. Well, all right, Chris, Mr. Higgs. It was great having you on, and hey, I wish you future success, man. I wish you well, except against Hanley. You know why?
Hey, it's 0-0 no matter the team. So,
but hey, I'm proud of you, man. We came up together, and you're doing your thing, man.
Yeah, for sure, Tony. You're a good assistant coach. Chris, you have to catch some games. But again, appreciate you guys having me on, and wish you guys the best of luck.
Yeah, right, it's been great having you, man. I wish you the best as well, man. Let's go Cardinals.
All right, all right, Chris. All right, man. See you. Well, everyone, that wraps up the show. Chris, that was fun. And next week we're going to have Emirates Worrell, Rylan Stribling, and Hassan Akambi on. That should be
3 young superstar athletes. Two already
young.
going off to college in about a week or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And one that's might go straight to the Olympics.
Yeah, Ryan's a beast. So that's our next episode, everyone. We got a nice young local talent on, athletes, and they're doing big things, going off to school. Except for Ryan, he's going into his senior year, I believe.
Yeah, senior year.
So yeah, we'll have those young athletes on and talk about their successes and trials and tribulations, all that stuff. So good stuff, Chris. So we'll end this, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see everybody hopefully Thursday night. We should be back on with those young athletes. All right, everybody. Later.